Objection.
Thank you, sir.
Question number 3, Simon Bridges.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance. What signs are there that New Zealanders are saving more?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, there is accumulating evidence that New Zealanders are lifting their savings rate and relying less on debt-funded consumption. For instance, since 2009, household equity has been rising. For the first time in 20 years, household debt-to-income ratios have been falling. Both Treasury and the Reserve Bank project positive household savings rates for the first time in over a decade. And the balance of payments, which measures overall national savings, may have a current account surplus for the first time in almost 40 years. This is a huge improvement, though it will be temporarily boosted by insurance payments coming into the country.
Simon Bridges.
Supplementary to the Minister. Why is lifting savings important?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, of course it's important, if only because debt-fuelled consumption of the sort that we saw in the last decade simply can't be sustained. It has led to New Zealand having among the highest external debt in the world, and the fact that New Zealanders are starting to increase their savings will reduce our vulnerability to very high levels of external debt.
The Honourable David Cunliffe.
To the Minister, which of the following two commentators is wrong, according to the Minister? The OECD, who says that this country is not rebalancing, or the Reserve Bank, which does not project positive household savings rates until at least 2013?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, both of those commentators have points of view that are worth listening to, but they're not always right. The fact is that this economy was so badly out of balance by the time his government was thrown out, that in the face of a recession it is taking some time to begin rebalancing in the right way, but I don't think there's any disagreement that we're headed in the right direction. We'd all like it to go faster.
Mr. Speaker, it was a very clear question. Which of those two commentators was wrong? And the Minister has not answered.
Order! The member asked an opinion and he got an opinion in reply. It's a total opinion question and he got an opinion in reply, and the Minister's perfectly entitled to answer. Order. Supplementary question. Simon Bridges.
How does current savings performance compare with that of the past decade?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the last 10 years was a particularly poor one for savings in New Zealand. Household debt ratios rose to about 160% of income, and New Zealand's foreign debt liabilities almost doubled. That's one of the reasons that per capita GDP actually fell during Labour's third term and has not risen since 2004. It's good to see a lot of these excesses being gradually reversed.
The Honourable David Cunliffe.
Supplementary, Mr. Speaker. Does the Minister consider it prudent, in light of the savings gap, to have cut contributions to KiwiSaver and the New Zealand Superannuation Fund? Or would he like to repeat his earlier advice to the former Labour government not to run surpluses, pay down debt, and instead give unaffordable tax cuts to people who don't need it?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, borrowing isn't saving. And if the government goes out and borrows $2.5 billion off foreign lenders and puts it into the New Zealand superannuation account, that is not saving.
The Honourable John Boscawen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Supplementary to the Minister of Finance. Are New Zealanders saving an extra $300 million a week to compensate for what his government is borrowing, or is New Zealand each day becoming a more heavily indebted country?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, to answer the first question, the answer is no, they're not. Secondly, we would expect that government deficits will peak actually about now, and part of the focus of the budget will be showing a track back to surplus.
Simon Bridges.
Supplementary to the Minister. How will the budget help lift national savings?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, probably now that New Zealand households have begun saving, it is time that government pulled its weight, because we can make the biggest difference to national savings by the government lifting its savings. Up to now, we have been willing to borrow to cushion New Zealanders from the impact of the recession, but now that economic growth is underway, it's time for the government to tighten its belt, reduce its deficit and get back to surplus.
Question number 4, Grant Robertson.
Thank you, Mr